Hey everyone, it's Richard Metalfan here, bringing you guys a brand new 2020 album review. And today we're going to be looking into the new album from Wolfheart entitled Wolves of Karelia, which was released through Napalm Records. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Wolfheart, they're a melodic death metal band hailing all the way from Finland that formed in 2013. And I discovered Wolfheart, I think it was like almost 2 years ago when I first saw them on their very first ever US tour where they opened up for Karelia and Morris Principium Est. And I was like really blown away. And I went and checked out all their other stuff and I was like, wow, these guys have been around for a little while. And I was really impressed by them and that they pretty much got a new fan since. And Wolfheart for me, they're pretty much labeled as melodic death metal, but they also have like hints of like even death metal or even a little hints of like black metal with a little bit of melody to it. And they've been putting out their albums since their debut 2013 album entitled Winterborn, and this was actually only was supposed to be a little side thing for their frontman Thomas Saukunen, and I can never say his last name. In fact, on the debut album, he played all the instruments and did all the vocals. It was just all 100% all him, which is kind of nuts. I mean, the dude is talented. I never knew that, but it wasn't until a little bit after that we had established a band, and then they put out their next album in 2015, which is I believe Shadow World or something like that. Yeah, Shadow World. It was a good album. I thought it was pretty good. And then their third album, which is I'm not even gonna bother pronouncing the name, but I think it's Finnish for something. But that's a good album. And then their previous album being Constellations of the Black Light, which I thought that was a really good album. But here we are with album 5 from them, Wolves of Karelia. Does this album actually live up or top what Constellations of the Black Light does? In my honest opinion, I feel like it definitely has it pretty much. Like I feel like they kind of like differ a little bit. It's still like the Wolfheart, but they also had like different kind of like stuff to it, which just like change things up, the pace up a bit. Thomas Thomas Sokinen his vocals are just aggressive as ever, and his guitar playing is pretty much tight. The bass playing from Lori Silvanen is good, and he does a little bit of like backing clean vocals, those are a little bit, and the drumming from Jonas Kaupen. Like I said, I'm not gonna bother pronouncing their last name. See, he is pretty tight. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now, starting things off is Hail of Steel, which goes straight into the ear. This might be getting together with some powerful guitars that make you hungry for more. In fact, you will not be disappointed at all. It's just fast, hard, and it's just the whole like selected orchestra samples in the background give the music its special touch, and the whole pack is just pretty much what you expect from Wolfheart at this point. And it should be said, this whole album follows a golden thread that you can hear throughout the whole album, thematically as well as instrumentally. This is the typical for Wolfheart that almost gives the impression that you're listening to just one single long song, which I'm a big fan of personally. Yeah, and then we go into Horizon on Fire. Now this is where things start to differ from the usual formula, with sort of like clean down-tuned guitars open the track alongside piano and strings before flowing melodies that wouldn't sound out of place here, and then backing clean vocals from Lori in the choruses, which keeps things fresh and blend together perfectly with Thomas's harsh vocals to convey sort of like the story of the Winter War. Next song on the album is called Reaper, which this pretty much continues like the trend, the difference, and showcases sort of like the more darker elements introduced into like the previous two albums. There's like a lot of blast beats, string melodies, and harsh vocals galore, which combines to create like one of the darkest and best tracks on the album. It is also probably one of the fastest tracks the band has ever written as well, with Jonas's blast beats is particularly sort of like breakneck speed, which is this guy, they can do no wrong on the drums. Anyway, moving on to The Hammer, which almost has a kind of like a Karelia feel a little bit. But just like from like the beginning with the guitars and the strings in unison, it's a rather nice touch, and it isn't overdone to become repetitive, which is often can be at the case for some other bands. And a particularly fitting guitar solo from Vageless, who is just the new guy in the band who played on the new album, I should also mention. He slots in nicely like around halfway through the track before a baritone acoustic guitar and cello and piano melody closes out the track. Good song. Anyway, Eye of the Storm, which is actually the first instrumental track to feature in the middle of the album as opposed to the start, and the placement provides a nice break from the intensity either side and showcases more of the musical talent of Thomas and his ability to craft both reflective and aggressive tracks. Next on the album is called Borna from Fire, and this is pretty much comes to the fold of the style, not too dissimilar to with the song Forged with Fire from the last album. However, unlike Forged with Fire, Born from Fire has sort of like a slightly like lower pace and more an epic feel with the backing orchestral elements filling the sound perfectly, and it has another tasteful solo from Vaglius, which just complements the track perfectly. Anyway, moving on to the next song, which is Arrow of Chaos, which takes more of a World of Fire style with just the flowing melodies that keep accentuated by sort of like the orchestral melodies and sort of like the hits, the blast beats, and all the syncopated riffs. And it also has one of the best counter melodies, which sits alongside the guitars excellently. And then the album concludes with Ashes, which I believe is a worthy conclusion of an album. It starts with some acoustic sounds, increasing with impelling orchestral parts and powerful guitars up to sort of like a very nice doom-like halting lead melodies, which is accompanied by a powerful and emotional vocals. All this then mixed with some groovy parts for headbanging, and the other songs already get to me, but this one takes it one step further. Great way to end this album. Now overall, Wolves of Karelia by Wolfheart is a great album. I'm pretty surprised by this. It's sort of like a little bit different compared to previous albums, but it's still Wolfheart at the heart. So if I were to give this album a score, I'm going to give the new Wolfheart album probably a solid 9 out of 10. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the new Wolfheart album, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video, and as always, keep it metal.